Good morning, everyone. Your morning weather briefing for this July 30th finds that there are no major changes in the forecast versus what I presented yesterday morning. Temperature and rainfall outlooks, nothing real different to note with regards to the temperature outlooks versus what I presented yesterday morning. A lot of cool weather in the near term, but warmer temperatures are going to be returning to a big portion of the Corn Belt by Saturday, and those temperatures will continue through the end of the 2-week time frame. No changes in my 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 day rainfall forecast versus yesterday. Ring of fire activity in the 6 to 10 day period. Models remain in very good agreement on below normal rainfall in much of the Corn Belt for the 11 to 15 day time frame, although I do have some questions about whether that can be such a dry period as the models do suggest. QPF discussion for the 1 to 5 day time frame. No major disagreements versus this forecast. We will continue to see some very nice rains over the next 48 hours in a good portion of the eastern Corn Belt. We will also see rainfall developing in the mid-south during that same time frame. Rainfall amounts look every bit as heavy as the map would suggest in the southeast. Some of that rainfall occurring on every day during this work week period. We'll see rains coming to an end in the hard red winter wheat belt for today. Overall rainfall coverage in the western Corn Belt probably less than this map suggests. A lot of the western Corn Belt seeing nothing at all in the way of rainfall during this time frame. For the day 6 to 7 period, this is when the ring of fire activity is going to be starting to fire in the Corn Belt region. The European model in this period would be a lot drier than the GFS model. I think that this forecast overall is kind of a blend between the European and GFS models, which for now is about the best one can do. High temperatures yesterday across the Corn Belt, very cool conditions across central Illinois given the fact that they saw such big rains during the day yesterday. Some portion of central Illinois set records for coolest high temperatures ever recorded for July 29th. Still note some big heat yesterday in a good portion of Texas. 18-hour rainfall totals through 1 o'clock this morning. There you can see the big rainfall totals that occurred in central portion of Illinois, both Springfield and Decatur, seeing more than 2 inches of rainfall during the last 24 hours. Other various locations in Illinois seeing more than an inch. As far as radar estimated rainfall for the past 3 days, again, there you can see the big rains that have fallen over the last few days, especially over the last 24 hours in central Illinois and into northeastern sections of Missouri. A big portion of the hard red winter wheat belt also seeing some very nice rains over the last 3 days. Have to consider rainfall in central portion of Nebraska, into northeastern Kansas, into some portion of Missouri as disappointing versus my expectations from back on Friday. Early morning radar on this Monday. I can see that extensive rainfall continues to be seen at this time in eastern portion of the Corn Belt. Very big rains this morning across to Oklahoma and into northeastern portions of Texas. Severe thunderstorm watch being issued for portions of that particular activity. As far as your forecast is concerned, the culprit behind the rainfall that is occurring on this Monday morning in portions of the central United States is an upper level low pressure system that is located over the central United States at this time. Not going to be moving a whole lot during the next 24 hours. There you can see where it's located at as of 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. It would be a position like that would still be keeping a lot of rainfall falling during the daytime hours tomorrow across the mid-south and into eastern portions of the Corn Belt. Looking at your 48-hour rainfall forecast through 7 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, there you can see that it would be eastern portion of Illinois and into Indiana and Ohio that would be seeing additional nice rains over the next 48 hours with regards to the Corn Belt. Going to be seeing some nice rains as well in that period developing for today and into tomorrow for the mid-south. A lot of that rainfall in the mid-south occurring for late tonight and into the daytime hours for tomorrow. Any rainfall for the hard red winter wheat belt will be ending for today, and then they will be seeing dry conditions for tomorrow. A lot of the western Corn Belt looking at dry conditions for both today and also for tomorrow. As far as the longer term rainfall forecast for the Corn Belt is concerned, for Wednesday right through the end of the 6 to 10 day time frame, I do not think that there is even one day during that period when rainfall is not going to be falling somewhere in the Corn Belt. I'll look for that activity to be very spotty in nature for Wednesday right through the daytime hours on Friday. Any rain that is seen during that period, very, very localized in nature. The vast majority of the Corn Belt seeing nothing at all. Then as we get towards Friday night through the end of the 6 to 10 day time frame, that is a period when I do think that there can be some ring of fire activity developing in the Corn Belt, something that has the potential anyway of producing significant or even heavy amounts of rainfall in areas that are impacted by it. Looking at surface features from the various models as of 1 o'clock in the morning for this coming Friday night, there you can see an area of thunderstorms indicated in the northwestern Corn Belt by the European model, a more broad area of rainfall indicated by the GFS. To some degree by the Canadian operational as well, and there you can see that the European ensemble as well. Overall, doesn't look like a whole lot on most of these models, but one can be rest assured that if indeed we do see ring of fire thunderstorm activity at that time, it would be more significant than the models would indicate. As we get to 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, there you can see the European model indicating some thunderstorm activity, GFS model as well, Canadian ensemble, European ensemble. Again, doesn't look like a whole lot on the maps, but if it were to actually be verifying, the activity would be more impressive than the maps would suggest. As we get towards 7 o'clock in the morning on August 7th, you can see that the European model at that time really has nothing in the way of rainfall in the Corn Belt, but note that the GFS model has an impressive area of thunderstorms in the heart of the Corn Belt as of 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, something indicated to some degree by the Canadian model as well. European ensemble would have a broad area of rainfall chances at that time. Do I think that that GFS model is perfect? Well, obviously I do not. Everyone well knows my lack of affinity towards the GFS operational model. At the same time, though, I don't think that that dry forecast from the European operational model is correct either, and you can tell my reasons for that by looking at the 500 millibars at that same time. Note that the European operational model at that time would have a fairly broad area of upper level high pressure really dominating the Corn Belt at that time, while the European ensemble would have any sort of a ridge of high pressure or high pressure aloft located much further southward, jet stream track more over the heart of the Corn Belt at that time. So I think that overall you have to believe that the European operational model is going for much too much in the way of upper level high pressure at that time. I got to think that the European ensemble would be a much more likely forecast solution, having the jet stream really still over the heart of the Corn Belt at that time, any upper level high pressure system much further south. So that dry solution for the latter portion of the 6 to 10 day time frame from the European operational model is something that I disagree with for this morning. Getting out into the 11 to 15 day time frame, once again this morning, very, very good model agreement on below normal rainfall in the Corn Belt for the 11 to 15 day period. Once again this morning, due to that model agreement, I am not fighting the models with that solution, but again, I do have some severe reservations on whether that dry solution can verify. Again, it is a situation where we're looking at warm temperatures for the 11 to 15 day period, looking at a northwesterly flow aloft in that time frame with any dome of high pressure still in southwestern portion of the nation. That is the case at the beginning of the 11 to 15 day period and also at the end of the 11 to 15 day period as well. Again, you can see the models in good agreement. Any dome of high pressure in southwestern portion of the nation, a warm pattern in the Corn Belt but with a northwesterly flow aloft. With that type of pattern in the summertime, that can be a situation where the models underestimate rainfall potential. So once again, like yesterday, not going to fight the models on their dry forecast for the 11 to 15 day period, but do believe can certainly see a scenario where the models are too pessimistic on those rainfall chances in the 11 to 15 day period given a northwesterly flow aloft with an overall warm temperature regime. As far as the specifics of the temperature forecasts are concerned, looking at temperature anomalies for this Monday, very cool conditions across a big portion of the nation. We will see those cool conditions continue for another 4 to 5 days. As we get towards Saturday, though, you can see that an abrupt change to above normal temperatures across a big portion of the Corn Belt and areas to the north of there by the time we get to Saturday. And once that warm weather regime becomes back into play. That is going to be something that is going to be lasting for the rest of the 2-week time frame. Looking at temperature anomalies for latter portion of the 11 to 15 day period, you can see very good model agreement on an extensive area of above normal temperatures in the Corn Belt by that time. So once again, by the time we get to Saturday, above normal temperatures returning to a big portion of the Corn Belt, and they look to continue right through the end, at least to the end of the 11 to 15 day time frame. Internationally, for your Monday, looking at subnormal amounts of rainfall in the summer row crop areas of the former Soviet Union for the next 2 weeks. A lot of that area, especially in the east, looking at little or nothing in the way of rainfall for the next 10 days. Near to above normal temperatures, the warmest temperatures with respect to normal are going to be occurring during week 1, more normal temperatures for those areas for the week 2 time frame. Over in Europe, still a wet pattern for the next 2 weeks for southeastern growing areas of Europe, but to the west of there. This is a decidedly warm and dry weather pattern for western portion of Europe. Look for a lot of Germany and France to see next to nothing in the way of rainfall for at least the next 10 days. As I said, it is a very warm weather pattern as well throughout the 2-week time frame. Looking at your 15-day temperature anomalies, just note how warm it will be across a big portion of central and western Europe for the duration of the 2-week time frame. Lots of 90+ degree temperatures across Germany for today through Wednesday. Then 90+ degree heat becomes widespread in France for Thursday right through the weekend, or even into Monday of next week. So once again, a decidedly warm, a decidedly dry weather pattern for central and western Europe for the duration of the 2-week time frame. Spring grain areas of the former Soviet Union looking at fairly decent rainfall amounts for the next 10 days. Looking over in China, some very nice rains fell across a big portion of the corn and soybean belt of the North China Plain during the last 72 hours. No surprise, those rains were in the forecast. Looking at near to below normal rainfall in the Chinese corn and soybean areas for the duration of the 2-week time frame. Wettest conditions in Manchuria are going to be easily in Heilongjiang, where they will be seeing some nice rains just over the next 5 days, while limited rains are seen during that same period to the south of there. For the North China Plain, very limited rainfall for a lot of the northern portion of the North China Plain for Tuesday through at least the early portion of next week. Mostly above normal temperatures across central and southern portion of Manchuria and into the North China Plain for the next 2 weeks. Any sort of cool weather for the next 2 weeks, mainly in northern portion of Manchuria for Heilongjiang. Not an especially wet forecast for the Canadian prairies for the next 10 days. That is especially the case in southern areas where limited rainfall is going to be seen for the next 10 days across southern portion of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and into southwestern Manitoba. A fairly warm forecast for the Canadian prairies, especially for later on this week through the end of the 2-week time frame. Australian rainfall forecast not overly bad, near to slightly below normal rainfall. Very nice rain is going to be seen for the next 5 days across Western Australia, South Australia, and into Victoria. Even portion of New South Wales could be seeing some rainfall in the 6 to 10 day period. Looking at the Indian monsoon, so far during this monsoonal season for the nation as a whole, running 5% below normal on rainfall. Some of the key oilseed and groundnut areas of central and southern India, though, have been running modestly above normal rainfall since the beginning of this monsoonal period. Upcoming, though, the monsoonal situation looks quite dry. A big portion of the Indian subcontinent looking at near to below normal rainfall for the next 2 weeks. Any decent rains during that time frame confined to just far northeastern areas. That's what I have for your Monday. Everyone have themselves a good day.